I never imagined my biggest accomplishment, a sprawling empire of multi-million-dollar beachfront properties, would remain my best-kept secret. But the look on my sister's face, morphing from smug arrogance to stunned silence, made every quiet victory worth it. Before I dive into the moment, my carefully constructed disguise unraveled in the most satisfying way imaginable. Let me ask, have you ever been underestimated by your own family? If so, leave a comment. And if this story strikes a chord, hit like and subscribe, because believe me, revenge tastes better than a sea breeze on a summer morning. My name is Victoria Parker, and at 32, I led what some might call a double life. To my family, I was the aimless youngest daughter, bright, perhaps, but never quite measuring up. In truth, I was the visionary behind Parker Coast Properties, one of Southern California's fastest-rising luxury real estate firms. Raised in suburban Michigan, I'd always felt like the odd piece in a perfectly polished puzzle. My parents, James and Margaret Parker, built their world around my older sister Diana's accolades. With her flawless grades, queen of everything titles, and a full ride to Stanford, Diana became the golden standard I supposedly failed to reach. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" the refrain that haunted my childhood. While Diana thrived in student government and debate tournaments, I immersed myself in real estate listings and market analyses. My father, a high school economics teacher, dismissed my passion with a scoff. "Real estate is for people with capital, Victoria," he'd say, barely glancing up from Diana's latest accolade. "Be practical." Even my mother, though softer, encouraged safer choices. "Maybe teaching like your father would be good for you. Stable, dependable." The only person who believed in me was my grandmother, Elizabeth. During our summers at her quaint beach cottage in California, she'd spend hours guiding me through real estate strategies, teaching me to read between the numbers. "You have vision, Victoria," she'd say, eyes sparkling. "Don't let anyone smother that fire." Those beachside summers weren't just a getaway, they were my classroom. While my family assumed I was lounging, I was laying the foundation of a future they'd never see coming. By 18, I had mapped out my life's blueprint. While Diana soared off to Stanford, I enrolled at a local college to study business with a focus on real estate. My parents called it settling. I called it positioning. "Well, at least she's going to college," I once heard my mother say, even if she didn't aim as high as Diana. They had no idea I was already working at a local real estate agency, absorbing everything. Every commission I made went into a secret fund, my launchpad. Then came the turning point. Grandma Elizabeth passed away during my sophomore year. She left me the cottage, and more importantly, her network of real estate insiders. My parents assumed the cottage was a money pit. "Sell it," Dad said. "Use the money wisely. Do something responsible." Instead, I used it as collateral to buy a foreclosed beachfront property, flipped it for triple, and planted the first stake in what would become Parker Coast Properties. Of course, the business was shielded under a holding corporation. My name never touched the surface. Over the next decade, I grew my company quietly. To my family, I remained the underachiever with a small job in real estate. They pictured me making cold calls in a cubicle, not buying and restoring some of the most luxurious properties along the Pacific. Meanwhile, Diana's path unfolded like a brochure for the perfect life. Post-Stanford, she married Michael Thompson, a corporate lawyer. Their Christmas cards arrived like clockwork, radiating perfection and subtle judgment. "We're so blessed. Praying Victoria finds her way soon." I kept the mask on. Modest car, unassuming apartment, carefully curated silence. Each family visit came with fresh comparisons and passive-aggressive encouragement. "Diana just made partner. Isn't that inspiring? Victoria, maybe she can help you find a more fulfilling role." I might have kept up the charade forever, had Diana not come for Grandma's cottage. It started with a Tuesday morning call. I was reviewing a $12 million property acquisition in my downtown office, walls lined with awards my family didn't know existed, when her name lit up my screen. "Vicky," she purred, sugary and sharp. "I've been thinking about Grandma's beach place." That tone, the same one she used to convince our parents to give her my college fund. "Michael and I want a place for family vacations, and I know that cottage's upkeep is a lot for you. We'd be happy to buy it, let you visit sometimes." Of course. I tightened my grip on my pen but stayed composed. It's not for sale. Diana. Come on. You're clearly struggling. We'd offer a fair price, and honestly, this might be the financial break you need. Then, the kicker. We're vacationing next month. You should join us. We've already booked a rental near the cottage, the Azure Cove Villa. Ever heard of it? Gorgeous place, definitely not in your budget. But stay with us. Your family. Azure Cove. My crown jewel. A $15 million estate I'd personally restored. And she had no idea she was renting it from me. That sounds lovely, I said. A delicious plan already forming. Count me in. Perfect. Mom and Dad will be there, too, just like old times. As I hung up, I turned to the wall of my office, eyes landing on the plaque that read, Entrepreneur of the Year, Luxury Real Estate. I'd stayed quiet for a decade, but maybe it was time to let the truth crash in, like a wave too powerful to stop. In the weeks that followed, I made every arrangement, down to the finest detail. My property manager, Sarah, was skeptical. Are you sure? This changes everything. It's time, I said, eyes set on the horizon. They need to see who I really am, I murmured, Diana's patronizing tone still echoing in my mind. The day of the family vacation dawned clear and golden, California perfection. I pulled up to Azure Cove Villa in my understated sedan, deliberately arriving just after the rest of them. Diana and Michael were already parading their kids around the grounds while our parents unloaded their high-end luggage from their gleaming SUV. Victoria, Mom called, her voice laced with that familiar hint of judgment. Couldn't you have worn something more appropriate for the beach? I glanced down at my minimalist sundress, the fabric fluttering in the breeze. What she didn't know, it was a custom Italian design worth more than their entire vehicle. Leave her be, Diana chimed in sweetly, too sweetly. Not everyone can afford a proper vacation wardrobe. For the next hour, I endured their show. Diana strutted around like the proud host, flaunting every corner of the villa like she owned it. Mom and Dad fawned over every detail, while Michael slipped in the occasional humble brag about his bonus. Then came the cue. The rental agent stopping by soon to give us a tour, Diana announced, her tone oozing importance. Victoria, maybe stay out of sight? Wouldn't want them thinking we've exceeded the guest count. I calmly pulled out my phone and sent a message to Sarah. Game on. A knock echoed through the villa. Diana practically skipped to the door, ready to perform. Good afternoon, came Sarah's warm, polished voice. I'm here to welcome the guests of Azure Cove Villa. Yes, that's us, Diana said, smiling wide. We're thrilled to be here. Wonderful, Sarah replied. I just need to confirm a few things with the owner. Diana blinked. Oh, is the owner stopping by? Sarah's eyes flicked to me with a subtle gleam. The owner is already here. Silence dropped like a stone. Diana's smile froze. Our parents turned, confused. Sarah walked straight past them and extended a portfolio to me. Miss Parker, everything is ready as per your instructions. Would you like to begin the property tour yourself? Diana gave a short, nervous laugh. There must be some mistake. My sister's just visiting. She doesn't own. Actually, I cut in smoothly, standing tall. It's time we had a little transparency. I turned to Sarah. Bring the full portfolio from the car. As Sarah stepped away, I watched my family's faces shift from confusion to suspicion. Dad looked like he was solving a math problem he never expected. Mom clutched her handbag like a lifeline. What's going on, Victoria? Michael asked, his legal radar clearly picking up the shift. I walked to the towering glass windows overlooking the ocean. I'd chosen them myself, just like every detail of the villa they'd admired. When you called about Grandma's cottage, Diana, I realized I'd hidden the truth for long enough. Sarah returned, placing a sleek leather portfolio on the glass coffee table. The Parker Coast Properties logo gleamed under the afternoon light. 10 years ago, I said, flipping it open, I founded this company. Today, we own 37 luxury beachfront estates across the Southern California coast, including this one. I gestured around. Total portfolio value? $400 million. Gasps filled the air. Diana went pale. Mom let out a sharp breath. That's ridiculous, Diana stammered. You're just a real estate agent? I offered with a smile. Hardly. I'm the founder and CEO. The artwork you praised? I picked it. The marble countertops? Flown in under my direction. Dad stepped forward, his voice low. Let me see those numbers. For the next 30 minutes, I walked them through everything: acquisitions, renovations, rental figures, every decision, every milestone. Mom finally whispered, "Where did you even get the money to start all this?" I pressed a button on the remote. A massive screen descended. Grandma's cottage. The screen lit up with before and after images. The humble beach house transformed into a chic boutique rental, now generating $40,000 a month. Their jaws dropped. Michael skimmed the financials with a practiced eye. "These margins are impressive," he muttered. "But why keep it a secret?" I turned, voice steady. "Because your doubt was a shield. The overlooked sister is never questioned. I didn't need your validation, I needed silence to build without interference." Diana finally snapped. "So while we were trying to help, you were mocking us?" "Help?" I scoffed. "You mean telling me to be more like Diana? Asking her to find me a better job? Pressuring me to sell Grandma's cottage like it was a burden?" Sarah re-entered discreetly. "Miss Parker, should I proceed with the full presentation?" I nodded. Yes, they deserve to see everything. One by one, Sarah presented our crown jewels: exclusive villas, beach clubs, high-end rentals, the $28 million cliffside acquisition, the 5-star resort development. Every project had my fingerprints on it. "But your apartment in Michigan," Mom murmured. "Your car." "A front," I said. "My real home is a Newport penthouse. My real car collection is in the underground garage." Sarah queued up the footage. My Aston Martin gleamed under soft lights. Michael actually whistled. "You built all this while we thought you were floundering," Dad said, his voice faint. "That was the point." Then came the final blow. "This villa," I said, "was never listed for rent. I had it posted just long enough for you to find it." "You tricked us," Diana hissed. "I gave you a mirror," I corrected, "and you showed me exactly who you still think I am." As the sun sank into the horizon, Sarah stepped away, leaving the 6 of us on the terrace. The waves below whispered, but no one spoke. "So, what happens now?" Dad asked finally. I walked to the wine cellar, returning with a vintage bottle of champagne. "Now," I said, popping the cork, "we toast the truth." As I poured into crystal flutes, I felt the weight of a decade lift. The deception was gone. In its place, respect, confusion, perhaps even awe. "To new beginnings," I said, raising my glass. They followed suit, stunned but silent. The champagne caught the last light of day. Tomorrow, everything would be different. But tonight, the truth belonged to me. Before I could respond, Mom appeared, dressed and composed, but lacking her usual polish. "Victoria," she began, then paused, visibly searching for the right words. The woman who once wielded criticism like a sharpened blade was now speechless. "Good morning, Mom," I said evenly, pouring her a cup of coffee. "Sleep well?" She accepted it with trembling hands. "I kept thinking about all the things we said. The ways we failed you." "You mean like suggesting I settle for teaching because it's stable?" I let the edge into my voice, just enough. Her cheeks flushed. "We thought we were helping. Trying to protect you from disappointment. By constantly being the source of it," I replied. A heavy silence settled between us, thick with years of missed chances and buried pain. "I reviewed your company's portfolio again last night," Dad said from behind us, slipping on his reading glasses and shuffling through handwritten notes. "The way you leveraged Grandma's cottage as seed capital, the acquisition strategy, your timing." He shook his head, equal parts stunned and proud. "It's brilliant." I offered a quiet smile. Looks like those unrealistic dreams weren't so unrealistic after all. Before he could respond, Diana stepped onto the terrace, noticeably less polished than usual. Michael followed, eyes glued to his phone. "I just got off with our financial advisor," he announced, blunt as ever. "He's trying to understand how we missed all of this. Your company's market standing is extraordinary." Diana shot him a glare sharp enough to draw blood. "Really, Michael? You're impressed by the fact she deceived everyone for years?" "Diana," Mom started gently, but I held up a hand. "No," I said. "Let's have this out." I turned to face her directly. You're angry I kept my success from you. But maybe ask yourself, why did I feel like I had to? Because you liked making us look foolish, she snapped. No, I said, calm and clear. Because every step I took was measured against yours. Every decision I made was questioned simply because it didn't mirror your path. You're not upset that I lied, you're upset that the lie made you feel less important. Diana opened her mouth to argue, but said nothing. The truth hung in the salt-heavy air, undeniable. I want to show you something, I said. All of you. I led them through the villa to a room they hadn't seen, my home office. Walls lined with framed milestones, my first property deed, the Parker Coasting Corporation documents, awards for innovation and architectural design. But my focus was on the frame at the center. This, I said, was the first letter Grandma wrote me after I launched the company. She was the only one who ever knew. Mom stepped closer and read aloud. My dearest Victoria. Your latest acquisition makes my heart soar. While others see you through the lens of comparison, I see you building an empire with quiet determination. One day they'll understand what I've always known, that your different path wasn't wrong, just extraordinary. All my love. Grandma Elizabeth. She knew, Mom whispered. All this time. She knew because she looked deeper, I said. She never needed me to be anyone but myself. Diana wandered to the shelves and examined the awards. This Innovative Developer of the Year, you? I remember reading about that. Guilty, I said. And that redevelopment project you called a genius revitalization last Christmas? That was mine too. The irony hung between us. Why now? Dad asked. Why drop the cover? I turned to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean, my ocean. Because success without authenticity is hollow. I'm proud of what I've built. And I'm done hiding it. Diana's voice softened. I suppose my offer to buy the cottage sounds a bit ridiculous now. I smiled. The cottage stays where it is. It's the foundation of everything. But I'm open to discussing a proper family vacation arrangement, based on mutual respect, not assumptions. What followed was something we'd never really done before, an honest conversation. About my business. My life. Our fractured family dynamic. Mom cried when I showed her the penthouse I actually lived in. Dad asked question after question, pride finally overtaking his skepticism. Michael, ever pragmatic, floated business collaboration ideas I politely declined. And Diana. Diana wrestled with something deeper. Her entire identity had been wrapped in superiority. Without it, she wasn't sure who she was. Later that day, as we walked along the beach, she said softly, I don't know how to be your sister without being your superior. Try being my equal, I offered. It's more interesting than looking down. By the second night, the sharp edges of our past had begun to soften. Dinner was served by my private chef, a final revelation that delighted Mom and, unsurprisingly, irked Diana. As the sun dipped into the sea, I raised a glass. To family, I said. And to seeing people as they are, not as we assume them to be. They echoed it, each voice holding a different weight. For Mom and Dad, guilt and growth. For Diana, reluctant acceptance. For me, freedom. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I returned to the terrace. Sarah stopped by with contracts needing signatures. Business doesn't pause for personal milestones. How are you feeling? She asked as I signed. Relieved? Regretful? I looked out at the coastline, the empire I'd built in silence, no longer hidden. Authentic, I said. Finally. And your family? They're adjusting. It's not perfect. But it's real. And that's worth more than any number in our portfolio. As Sarah left, my phone buzzed with a text from Diana. Can't sleep. Too many thoughts. Coffee tomorrow? Just us? I smiled. Yes. I know a great little beach cafe. Her reply came almost instantly. Of course you do. Show off. It wasn't an apology, but it was a beginning. Under the silver glow of moonlight, I thought of Grandma Elizabeth. She'd always believed in the path only I could see. She knew success didn't need to scream. It just needed to shine when the time was right.